We're going to get into our review of the week. We're going to do TV shows again because honestly, the only thing that we've been doing is watching television.
Right. I was like saying the other day, I was so excited to go out and get my facial and my like booty facial because it was just, I went somewhere, you know, saw some people, left the house. It was great.
Always. You want to go first?
Yeah, I'll kick it off. So I didn't even know that this was a thing that was coming out, but the New York Times put out this special called Framing Britney Spears, and it's on Hulu. And if you guys want to watch it, you have to search it under New York Times Presents, because if you just search Framing Britney Spears, you won't find it. That's because like it's really important that you guys watch this. I want to make sure that you guys get it. But it's actually really good. It's not a super long special to where it's like got this whole like 3-part series or anything like that. But it does a very good job at kind of showcasing Britney's start and to where she is now, with highlighting all the important kind of like stuff in between. But I think the most important part about it was like, one, nobody from Britney's like camp responded to like be a part of this. So that's like, you know, her dad, her mom, her sister, even, you know, like nobody directly like close to them was able to participate in this or like speak on it. And I don't really want to like, you know, spoil it, but there were a bunch of people who either like were close to Britney, you know, growing up, or like paparazzi who had even had like a relationship with her, who were able to kind of like speak on it, lawyers and whatnot who had been involved in, you know, some of her dealings. Of course, they could only speak hypothetically or, you know, theoretically, whatever. But it was really, really sad to kind of see her like as this really sweet, happy girl. And then you just see her slowly with the paparazzi, just the decline of how it's affecting her. And as a kid, I don't think I remember just how bad the paparazzi was with her. But you think about it now, like we see all these tabloid pictures of like the Kardashians, you know, they're always getting, you know, harassed and whatnot by the paparazzi and all of that. But Britney literally, like, it would be situations where Britney could not drive because they're just surrounding her and like, we love you, or like acting like, you know, let her go, like let her move and all that stuff, being the ones that are blocking her in kind of stuff, you know. And it just, you just see it try to take a toll on her. And there was this documentary that was released sometime in, I want to say like 2013 or 2014, which was only a few years, oh no, I might be a little bit earlier than that, but it was a few years after the whole shaving her head thing and getting admitted thing, to where she kind of had her comeback, remember? And that was the only time since then that we've kind of briefly heard Britney talk about her conservatorship that her dad has over her or whatever. And you hear her say something about like, you know, I'm really like, I do this because I love to do it. But if I didn't have all of these, you know, restraints or restrictions that I have to follow, blah, 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 you know, like she didn't say much on it, but you know that she wasn't necessarily happy being in that situation. And so it just kind of goes on from there about like, you know, how can we like help Britney? There's these people who have like that whole Free Britney movement, which we all know about, and celebrities have started taking wind of it and everything. And they're trying to think about how, you know, how can we help Britney? How can we help her get out of this? One of the biggest things that I will take away from this, and again, I promise you, I'm not like ruining anything that you guys don't already know. This show will dive deep more into like the aspects I'm not touching on. But in most situations, a conservatorship is put in place generally amongst like elderly people. And the reasoning behind it is usually because at this point this person is no longer able to take care of themselves, or like they're at risk of like maybe being swindled into like giving away their own money, or like they're not able to make smart decisions regarding themselves and their lives. So that's the situation that she's in. She has zero control over these aspects of her life. And one of the people that is involved in her conservatorship is a lawyer. He filed like some kind of petition asking for a raise through Britney, asking for a raise. and saying that the conservatorship is actually more of like a business agreement rather than it actually being put in place to protect her. So it's a whole, it's like
her dad is a con man.
And that's not even her dad. This is the lawyer like on the dad's
I know,
team.
but her dad is the big bad here. And
thank you.
He needs to be fired immediately.
Yes.
I think it's so tragic that he's using her as a means to get a check.
Right.
And that he's doing it by holding her hostage.
Thank you.
And it seems like there's a lot of extra stuff going on. She doesn't seem well. And I think that it's completely trash that they keep going to court and she keeps trying to get this overturned and judges are just like, no. Because I'm like, I don't understand how you don't see what's happening here because everybody can see what is happening here.
Okay, so I just remembered the number so she's been in this conservatorship now for 13 years. Yeah, so it's been 13 years that she's had to live like this. And you remember during that time was when she did have her whole circus tour. She had that residency in Vegas.
But that's because she had to do those
exactly. And the last residency that she had in Vegas, remember they announced this big whole show. She canceled it because she had to go take care of her father. When in actuality, she had to go. She not relapsed, but she was having another mental kind of like breakdown.
And she was not trying to do it.
Yes, she couldn't do it. Literally, physically could not do it. Excuse me, guys. Anyways, it was a really, I feel like it was done very, very well. I don't feel like it was done at all in a way to kind of like shade either side, it was very informative. But I definitely feel like it's worth watching because what's happening with Britney Spears and what's happened to her is really tragic to see. Like we grew up with Britney. We grew up on her, it's just weird seeing somebody who you quote unquote grew up with in this kind of like state. And we don't want to see her end up like Prince and MJ and like, we don't want a tragic, scary kind of end for her. And something's got to give. So
#free Britney.
#free Britney.
Wheels fall off.
Check it out. It's on Hulu. New York Times presents Framing Britney Spears. It's a really, really good watch, guys. Moving on, Shantae.
I'm going to be reviewing the movie Malcolm and Marie, starring Zendaya and John David Washington, which is, if you guys don't know, Denzel Washington's son, but also he is his own he's actually a pretty prominent actor.
He's established now. And he's definitely his daddy's son because he is good at what he does.
The movie was also written by Sam Levinson, and I only preface that because I don't know who he is. I should probably know who he is, but I only preface that because of my review and everything. So what I will say in the ways of pros is that I love the way that the movie was shot. It's shot in black and white. It's a 2-hour film about an argument that a couple has. So all we get to see is their house, and their house is nice. It's a nice modern, just like mansion. They've got a nice big backyard, these nice big windows, and just the different angles. So like with the black and white shots and then the home decor, it just is a really visually appealing movie. And then I really, really love Zendaya's killer gown in the very beginning of the movie.
She looks amazing.
She walked in looking like money, and I didn't expect anything less from her.
Of course.
I would say for both of them, their acting, they're both amazing actors and actresses. So I feel like their acting was on par. Now I got to get to the realness. I did not enjoy this movie at all. Like
not
in
many
the slightest. And I feel bad because I try to, one, watch Black movies and give good critiques, and then two, I love Zendaya, so I was like, I'm automatically gonna love it. But I have to say, one, watching a 2-hour movie of a couple arguing is exhausting.
It really is.
Nobody wants to watch that, especially in the middle of a pandemic when we're all stressed and exhausted already. And then on top of that, their relationship is toxic as all get out. So it's like, you're not only watching them argue and it's just like a regular argument. No, you're watching them argue, and I'm talking like big butcher knives are being brought out to prove points.
Low blows.
Like, low blows, and get over yourself and stop blaming your failures on me. Just like it's ugly. So I really didn't appreciate watching it at all. And I guess I didn't know either going into it what the movie was about, because reading more about it, some reviews, a lot of people already knew that this was going to be a 2-hour argument between a couple. And I'm like, why would anybody want to watch this movie? Who wants to sit and watch people argue for 2 hours? That's not a movie.
No.
Like, they did not leave the house. There were no other characters in the movie. It was literally Zendaya and John David Washington the entire time. And all they did was argue. And I'm talking, they went in circles. It would be like for 10 to 15 minutes, they were arguing. Then they were friends again.
No, they were not friends again. They were like making out all over each other.
Then it was
fighting.
We're making out and something pops in my head. So now I had to bring that up in the middle of this moment. Now we're fighting again. Now we change. Now we're chilling and we're eating. And now we're fighting again. Oh, now we're dancing. Now we're chilling. Now we're fighting again. And I was like, honestly,
it's dizzying.
I have no real review because I can't even tell you the content of the film. However, I did read up on it because I was like, what was this supposed to be about?
What was the reason?
What was the purpose? And so basically reading, I couldn't really get a pulse either on how everybody else felt either. It is very 50-50 split on this movie, because on Twitter, everybody's like, this is a, movie genius. This is an amazing movie. John David Washington and Zendaya are amazing together. And I'm like, I can agree with all of that.
They are. They acted their butts off.
But the writing and the storyline is terrible. And let's just be real. Like, who actually was captured from beginning to end watching that movie? I could be biased, but it wasn't me. And then I also read a review yesterday from 2 film critics that watched it, and they completely just tore the movie apart. And it was more for the film aspect of it, because like I said, they are film critics, and they had more criticism for Sam Levinson, the writer, than they did for like Zendaya and John David Washington, because they both also said they're great actors and they did the best with what they had. But essentially in the movie, one thing that the main character, John David Washington's character, does is he is a film director. He's a famous film director who just won an award for a film that he made. And you could tell it's like they came from the Oscars or like, something like that.
That's why she was wearing that killer gown.
And that's why she was wearing that killer gown, yes. And so he launches into this long tirade throughout the entire movie. This is really what the movie is about at its core, and this is what they argue and go back and forth about. And also there's some personal stuff that's tied into it, but it's about racism in the film industry. And yes
what?
It is about racism in the film industry.
The other girl that was cast as her, is she a white woman? Is that what this is? Like, remember that other actress?
We don't know.
We don't know.
Yeah, we have no idea.
What?
But if you remember, I wish I could remember John David's. Actually, it's Malcolm. Malcolm, in the very beginning, he's talking about how like he won this award, but like, why has it taken so long for a black man to win this award? And why isn't there more black people that have won this award? Like, that's where they get on this path. Like, he definitely is talking about race within the film industry. And that's mostly what he's yelling and going on about for a majority of the movie.
I'm going to need to rewatch this.
And then she just randomly brings up the fact that she's upset he didn't cast her for the role when the entire role was based off her life.
And didn't think
And that's
her.
a spoiler, you guys. I don't know if I recommend even watching it, so the spoiler might be fine. I'm serious, you guys. Like, it is all over the place. But it's supposed to be about racism within the film industry. Now, what the film critics had a problem with, and now what I'm kind of seeing a problem with, because I'm like, I see where everyone's coming from, is that Sam Levinson is a white man who is also born to, his father's a director.
Oh.
So not only is his white privilege on his side within the film industry, nepotism is as well. So he was already born with a silver spoon in his mouth, and it was good. He was gold from jump.
Did he write this like as a black story? Like he intentionally wrote
He wrote this in his stance and his viewpoints for a black character. Do you see the problem?
Yeah.
So
it's just it's mountaining here. Like,
so that's what the film critics are mad about.
Dude,
that's what the film critics are mad about.
He's Rachel Dolezalling a film.
Yes. And so basically what the film critic says is that essentially he wanted to write something that he felt needed to be talked about, but he wanted to do it through black people so that we couldn't criticize it. because if you had wrote it and it was a white, say that Malcolm had been a white director and was talking about the same thing, it would have been like, rah rah rah, why do we have these white people talking about something that
but here's another thing. I feel like in that instance it's a double-sided sword.
Yes.
Because Black people want white people so badly to acknowledge and accept their privilege, but yet once they do, it's, well, why are you speaking on this, or da-da-da-da-da. Like, right. Darned if you do, darned if you don't.
Yes. I think that more people would have probably have respected it more if he had probably co-written it with someone who was of, you know, I think it's more because it's like not his experience.
Yeah.
So it's like, while he can see it, he doesn't actually know what that's like as a writer or anybody in film. And then he was like, if I put Black people in it, then it seems like it's real. And it's like, yeah, it is real, but that's not your story
to tell. Yeah.
Exactly.
And if that's the fact in the matter, is that you were writing this about race in the film industry or whatever, you could have done a much better job at it.
Yeah, because I'm like, we
that's
barely
not
even
what I got
that
from
point.
it. Yeah, that's not at all what I got from it.
I got toxic, exhausting relationship from this movie.
And that's essentially what I thought it was about.
Turn it off so bad. So yes, that was Malcolm and Marie. Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 58%, which is failing. And then the audience gave it a score of 72%. So like I said,
which is a C-.
Yeah. So like I said, it's all over the place.
Yeah.
People are either love it, but love it for just like materialistic surface level stuff, or they really hate it. So I say not the way, but Zendaya and John David Washington, great job.
We'll let y'all decide.